All right, I get what you're saying, but I really do not believe the Bills quarterback is an alien. Think about it, bro. Shows up in town, everybody loves him, has a certain glow about him. It's exactly like E.T. Listen, okay? I know you're desperate to pass the time, waiting for the ticket release of the world's largest startup competition, but you just gotta chill. Hey, give me this blanket. You had it last night.
Folks, don't camp out, don't wait in the rain. Head over to 43north.org or social media and grab your tickets today. Get them before they're gone.
I'm telling you, he is hiding in plain sight. Even think about his last name. What do you mean? Allen? That's pretty standard. Is it A-L-L-E-N or is it A-L-I-E-N?
What is up, everybody? The Triple H podcast back with you today. We have the Southwest Division preview, the final preview, 12 days away from the NBA season. Steve, Jake, and Dunny here as always for the Happy Hour Hoops podcast. Guys, 12 days, less than 2 weeks. I watched some preseason last night in person. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Oh, we're so close. We're so close. We're finally watching preseason basketball again. Less than 2 weeks away. Donnie, I'm so excited. I got the Luka jersey on today. You know I'm happy to talk about the Southwest. I'm excited. We saw, and he's not in the NBA yet, but we saw maybe a little bit of a potentially game-breaking type prospect. Saw some highlights of him these past few days, too. We're just watching basketball again. No more of these off-season stories, all this news. Can we trust it? Can we not? We're watching basketball again. I'm so happy.
I'm not going to lie, guys. I've watched about 5 minutes of preseason basketball. I do not like preseason anything. That is like a life rule of mine. So, but I'm very excited, as you mentioned. My preseason basketball, as we talked about, has been a lot of 2K, getting used to these rosters.
Yes.
But I will say, and it ties into our beautiful 43 North commercial there. We're talking about aliens being on the planet Earth. We have seen one the last couple days, guys. I think we know who the newest alien in the NBA at least is going to be.
Are we? What do you guys think we're going to see from Victor Wembanyama? Wembanyama, that's how I've seen how to pronounce it. I'm going to find a nickname for him because it's just, you have to. This guy deserves a nickname. He's listed at 7'2", but I'll tell you what, this is one of the most impressive big men I've ever seen. I saw some people chirping me saying, oh, he's Porzingis. He's not going to do what you do. The hype isn't real. No. Porzingis could not ball handle like this. We've seen elite big men prospects in the NBA before. They don't have the basketball skills that this man has. He can hit the jumper. He can dribble. He can get coast to coast. I am so excited. I haven't been this excited for a prospect just by watching their first couple games in a long time. Because this is someone who are you going to have guard him? Like, what are opposing teams going to do? And the NBA's on notice, guys, because we've already heard multiple GMs, coaches, owners say that, oh, yeah, there are going to be teams tanking this man. The hype is real for Wembanyama.
Yeah. Adam Silver's literally asking teams not to tank for him. He's already come out and publicly said it.
That's bad. That's a tough look.
I don't think that's going to fix anything.
No.
But the fact that the commissioner
of the season starts.
Yeah, this guy is literally making the commissioner of the NBA worried about his product. That's how good he is.
That's how good he is.
People within the league are willing to ruin the product of professional basketball just to get Wemby.
Realistically, like 5 teams should be trying to win the NBA title this year, and everybody else should be tanking for Wemby.
Yeah.
There's 7 teams, 5 to 7 who have a chance. Everybody else should be like, You know what,
Yeah.
superstar? You have a sprained ankle. You should stay out for 3 months.
Yeah, Dallas Mavericks. Luka, set the bench for a year. We'll get this guy, then we'll win the next time.
That's a sneaky one.
Yeah, it's really crazy. I keep like every time I refresh Twitter here, I just at first when we first hopped on before we started the podcast, it was just everything about his stat lines the last couple of days. Today he put up a cool 36 and 11 with 4 blocks, and now since we've been on here, I just refreshed the first 3 tweets I see are just him standing next to Gobert, and he's taller. He's significantly taller. He has like a whole forehead. Half of his head is taller than Gobert, and Gobert's listed at what, 7'1"?
Yeah. I mean, he's not 7'2". He's listed at 7'2".
Oh no,
this is a 7'4", 7'5" possibly guy who can handle the ball. I mean, that's the craziest part. Is it's not like you're thinking of, and I got his jersey right back there, good old Yao Ming. Yao Ming, 7'5", 7'6". My buddy and I were joking about it earlier this year because Yao Ming had some 99 overall 2K card that came out where he can hit threes, he can dribble. And I'm like, what if we see someone at Yao's size that can dribble and shoot? Well, he may not be as big as Yao yet in terms of, like body mass, but Victor is damn near almost as tall, and we're seeing someone who can dribble and shoot and move with that size, which is terrifying, not just offensively, but defensively too, Dunny. Some of the block highlights he had are unreal.
It looks like one of us going to a 5th grade recess and just picking out kids that we want to swat and just sending that shit. Yeah, it's honestly terrifying. And the only thing, and it's not even like a negative thing because it's nothing he does, but I'm in a tough spot, I think. And I want to preface this by saying this is nothing negative about Wemby or Victor or the alien or whatever we want to call him. I usually hate this time of the year when there is a prospect like this and people can't stop talking about them, because we have a guy like LeBron James who kind of ruined that for everyone else. Because we've had it since LeBron's been in the league. The next LeBrons have we had, and how many of them?
Wiggins,
Zion. And Andrew Wiggins and Jabari Parker were back to back on a Slam magazine, and they were supposed to be Melo and LeBron. And I remember that's when it started. But I mean, we've had a 15, 20 guys probably since LeBron that we've heard that about. I don't know if anyone's gotten this much hype. I think the Wiggins and Jabari were probably the closest, and they were super hyped because, I mean, this is now when Twitter's at its peak and social media is everything right now. Back then, I literally saw it on a Slam magazine. They were the front cover. So basically what I'm getting at is usually we're disappointed. I don't think that's the case this time. I just think he looks too good. And Steve, like you said, it's not really even the stats that we're paying attention to. It's literally just watching how he plays the game of basketball. It's an anomaly. We're talking about him being the same size as Yao Ming. Go watch Yao Ming highlights. He can barely move. He was so good because of how big he was. Wemby is so good because of how skilled he is. And then the big part is just an added bonus. So as much as I'm trying not to get excited, he makes it really difficult. He drives a hard bargain.
And that's the big thing too, right? It's like I don't want to get too hyped on these guys, but when they deserve it is when they deserve it. And I just watched a little bit of his tape. I'm like, I'm sold on this guy. He had 2 impressive plays, I think, from his first game. The first one was on a shot he missed. He took the ball up the court and he did a step back 3. And when he did that step back 3, he dribbled through his legs, step back, and he gained about 5-6 feet of separation. And if you're getting that type of separation on a step back, and you're already 7'2", I'm going to call him 7'2" until we get this actual height, because he's 7'4", he's 7'5", but you're 7'2", and you get that type of separation, nobody's blocking your shot. You're getting a clean look. And the big thing about Victor, which I love, when we see most big men shoot threes, it looks a little clunky sometimes. It doesn't look great. Like maybe they don't jump as much or they just got an okay release. Dude, he has a shooter's release.
It's so fluid.
It's so fluid. Pure shooting releases I've seen. And this guy's 7'2", 7'4", whatever you want to call him. And then on the defensive end, and I know it's going to be a little tougher when you're facing better scorers on the inside at the NBA level, but there were multiple times where he wasn't even involved in the play and he was the one who made the block. His reaction time is unbelievable for someone as a prospect as raw as he is. His basketball skills for someone that's 7'2" or like taller, we've never seen before. And this is just, I can't wait. I can't wait to see the hype build on this kid, because I think we're finally past the point of all the NBA's guy not really believing in these foreign players, right? They're like, oh, the competition's not as strong out there. Let's see what they do overseas. And it's, well, like, guess what, guys? We've seen it with Giannis. We've seen it with Luka. We've seen it with Jokic. I think we're past the point now where we're doubting these foreign players. He's amazing, and this is something that's definitely going to translate to the NBA level, because the one thing you can't teach is size. And I'm saying that as a very short guy, a very, very short guy. The one thing you can't teach is size. You can't teach it. You can't teach 7'2". You can't teach 7'4". He already has the basketball skills, and then he has that size on top of there. Sign me up. I'm in the hype train. I will be officially on his hype train the entire season.
I will say the last person that I want him to be hanging out with, though, before he gets to the league is Rudy Gobert. I know they're both French. I get it. Brothers in arms and everything else. But it's just a little worrisome.
He's probably telling him he's already better than him.
Needs a better buddy. He better be, but everything I've heard about Rudy Gobert in my life, I think Rudy Gobert thinks he's Michael Jordan, so who knows?
Yeah, well, we know
Donovan
that
Mitchell, the ball goes through me, buddy. All right, let's not remember.
And Victor told Scoot Henderson that he was a good player, but there's no chance he's going number one. So
and I like that. I like that a little bit. I like having that confidence already.
Well, you see how he has it. How could you not?
Yeah.
I would hope he's not lacking in confidence.
Literally no one can touch you at the sport that you play, you kind of have to be that confident. I'm sure.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I'm sure we're gonna talk about it more when we get to the Spurs here. But yeah, finish that last thought, Jake.
No, just watching him like back down people was hilarious in some of those highlights and everything else. Just like it just looks like you guys said, like it's an anomaly. It just looks absurd to see it.
Yeah, it's like that. That kid in like high school or middle school. I don't even know what it was. It must have been high school, like AAU or something, when he was trying to guard Taco Fall. And he's just like looking up at him and then like looking back at his coaches, like, what do you want me to do here?
Yeah. There's that one picture too of Zion where he's matched up with like this short little like scrawny kid. He's got this look on his face like what's going on?
Yeah,
something
serious.
Like
that. Yeah, like I said.
No, I was just saying Zion's reaction to that too is hilarious. He's laughing at it. He's laughing at it. He's like, what are you doing? This is how you think you're gonna stop me?
That poor kid's probably like, I agree. Like, I don't know what we're doing either, but here we are.
We're on the court at the same time.
Yeah, so the Victor hype's real. Get on board now while you still can. Don't be a hater of Victor. Even I, who don't like to get too excited about draft prospects who are supposed to be the next big thing, I am still very excited about him. Like I said, we'll probably bring him up again. The last bit of news here before we get into the West Division preview, we're actually going to go over the NBA GM surveys too a little bit before we do the preview. But the last bit of news, last night or yesterday, whenever the Warriors held their practice, Draymond Green allegedly struck Jordan Poole. The two seem to be going back and forth all practice. Things got heated. They got in each other's face, and the report says Shams was the first one who had it, but obviously it's everywhere now. Draymond supposedly struck Jordan Poole. Since then, reports have said that, like, they're kind of fine, but what did you guys think of this? Obviously pretty crazy, and I feel like the Warriors are probably the last team you thought this would come from, just because they do have a lot of personality, a lot of ego on that team. However, they're fresh off a championship, and they're one of the closest teams as far as chemistry, friendship, camaraderie, and longevity. they have all those things. So it was surprising in that sense. The fact that Draymond was the centerpiece of it, not so surprising. But what do you guys think of that?
Yo,
Yeah.
I sent this to you guys last night. Draymond, it was apologetic, but there's a buildup stemming from teammates noticing a change in Poole's behavior with the guard on the verge of a lucrative contract extension. Who else is on the verge of trying to get a contract extension on the Golden State Warriors but Draymond Green?
Right.
I mean, it's realistically, they're going to pay probably one of those guys or try to split the difference between them. Draymond has said many times he wants a max contract. He's like, I will take the most amount of money, whatever. I feel like I deserve that. He shouldn't get a max. He's probably not getting a max, but I guarantee some other team is going to pay more than the Warriors are going to pay for him. So
yeah, I think we predicted the Kings.
Yeah, we did. We actually did.
I think like last year or like halfway through the season, we predicted that the Kings would be the ones to give him the contract.
And I like that. I think that still kind of holds. I'm not going to lie. So that's what it comes down to me more than anything else. Like, they're two dudes that are fighting for the same money on the same bread for the same winning organization. But Poole, I could see Poole coming into camp feeling like he's hot shit, just won a title. Maybe they know more than we know about how he spent his summer, shit like that, thinking he's all, going to whatever naturally ascend. It's very interesting and definitely not what you want to see out of the defending champions before the season starts.
No. Not what you want to see at all. And I think you kind of made a good point there with the contract, right? Because I didn't even think of that. I just kind of almost thought it was Jordan Poole feeling like he's still the new guy there. But you could tell the type of player he is. He's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and I feel like it's him just kind of pushing back with Draymond a little bit. We weren't shocked at all when we hear there's a scuffle at the Warriors practice. It's like, okay, Draymond's involved. Who's the other one? Jordan Poole was a little bit of a surprise for the name, but you kind of look at the personality, the way he just gathers himself, the way he kind of acts during games. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the guy who pushes back, and Draymond won't like that. He won't like that at all. So I'm not going to get too concerned about it. They won a championship. This is the Warriors. They all love each other at the end of the day. Like, they played together for years. But Jordan Poole still is technically like the new guy, right? The new guy in this kind of culture, this bond. So who knows? Maybe it was a wake-up call for him. Like, know your place.
Yeah, I'm with you that the more I think about it, like the less that I think it's really important at all. Obviously, it's a story and it's interesting, but like things like these happen in sports.
Yeah.
Like, think about one of the greatest basketball teams of all time, like all those Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen's team. Like, what if you've watched The Last Dance? They went at it all the time. Jordan was
Why'd they break up though?
Teammates.
Why'd they break up though? Contracts and
yeah, true. But I mean,
it's the disease of me. It's Bill Walton said it. All this stuff. You start winning titles, you start getting all the accolades, everything else.
Yeah, not everyone.
Disease of more, I should say. More.
Yeah.
Everybody wants more. Everybody wants more money. Everybody wants more attention. All that shit.
Yeah, it's a good point. And like you said, that if that is what stemmed from this, and that's what's bothering the two of them, then it could end poorly. I just think this is more common than people like to admit. Yeah. And I think just because it's the Warriors, it's gonna get out. So I don't think it's that crazy. My biggest thing is I'm interested to hear what Draymond has to say about it, because
he's the pod dropping, baby.
Right. He's a guy who has his own podcast, and he loves to be critical of literally every single other person on this planet, dude. Whether it's the old media, another player, someone he just flat out just disagrees with, and he has to go on his podcast and tell them they're wrong, and he can never be wrong. I'm not saying he shouldn't have his platform or his podcast or be critical of others. Be critical of others. I don't care, Draymond. But it will be interesting to hear what he has to say about this whole thing because of how critical he is of others. And I can only imagine if it was another team, he'd be running home to jump on the mic, I'm sure. So I am interested to hear Draymond's response to this. But for what it is, probably nothing. Interesting. It will be fun to watch, and maybe do we get a Jordan Poole, Draymond conversation like we saw with KD? Those guys absolutely going at it on the sideline. Stay tuned. Maybe if you're if you're sitting up in the stands at a Warriors game, bring your binoculars and look down to Jordan Poole and Draymond on the sideline. But yeah, I don't think it's anything crazy that is going to like affect their season or anything. The Warriors are too good for that. But before we get into the preview, finally, one last thing. The GM surveys came out. It's a frenzy on Twitter the day they come out. They basically just vote on different accolades and awards across the NBA, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, all that stuff, or Best Defensive Player, whatever it is. So what did you guys have on this?
Well, I mean, we saw who the GMs voted for MVP. We saw that one. We saw that one. Luka, 48% of the votes. So I loved seeing that. To be honest with you, there weren't too many that really jumped out and like I was shocked out. I know Jake will be happy with one of them. I'm sure he'll talk about that one. But the big one for me, Luka MVP, because you know I'm on the Luka MVP train. 22-23 season. Luka's coming home with some hardware.
Was very excited about, as you're speaking of, the guy who's next in line for a breakout, Evan Mobley, obviously going. And it's the right answer, so obviously they're going there. The biggest thing that jumped out to me, and it's tipping my hand towards our what we're going to be talking about next week with our season awards and playoff and all our previews that we're going to do for the whole NBA season. The Los Angeles Clippers are the favorites in the Western Conference, according to the GMs.
Yeah.
And why that matters to me more than anything is last year they were not in that position. If you look at the survey, it wasn't as strong as it was this year. And that just tells me that they know that Kawhi is healthy. Like the GMs have heard through whatever grapevines they have that Kawhi is healthy and that they're scared of that being the case. And even higher than the war, like I think it was like 37-36 for them and the Warriors, very close together. But that is what I think this year is going to be, is Kawhi Leonard reminding everybody as long as he's healthy. And I was kind of shocked to see that the GMs agreed with that. And then it kind of reinforced that belief. So that's the most interesting thing to me. But then he wasn't up for any of the, no one wants to say that he's going to be up for MVP or any of the individual awards, whatever, because no one can believe that they can count on it or that he's going to play enough games and everything else like that. But there's no other reason you're picking the Clippers unless you think Kawhi is just going to be a force all year long.
Well, you saw it too in the most improved team, right? 41% set the Clippers. And this is including teams like the Timberwolves and the Cavaliers that added big pieces. The reason the Clippers are the most improved is because they think they're going to see a healthy Kawhi. That is by far the most important player to improve the team this year, even though, he's not a new player. He's just out for the past couple of years. So I do agree with you, Jake. I think that is the GM saying that they expect a healthy Kawhi. They expect Kawhi to be locked in on the season. And we were kind of ahead of the curve there because we were all very high on the Clippers in our Pacific preview. And I believe that was the first division we did, which is back almost over like a month and a half ago now. But that was kind of the big one that stood out to me. And then, of course, obviously, the Luka. What about you, Donnie? Anything? I know Brogdon got a little bit of love for you.
Yeah, I was excited about that. Not much. I don't really like. Obviously, no one really buys into this stuff too much. It is interesting to see, though. I honestly did, and maybe this is because I'm just a huge Tatum guy because I'm a Celtics fan. I was a little surprised that he didn't get any votes for MVP. I wouldn't think that he'd be like top 3 or anything, but the fact that he didn't get any votes was kind of surprising. I just feel like he's kind of set up to, be in a position to be in that conversation all year. Like he has such a good supporting cast, and his numbers last year were 27, 8, and 4. Right. Like those numbers will get the award done in any given year. Depending on the rest of the league, obviously, and where you stand in your conference. And I don't see why the Celtics shouldn't be at the top of the Eastern Conference once again. But, I didn't think it was anything crazy that he wasn't there, but I was a little surprised by that. What I wasn't surprised by, though, is that Marcus Smart didn't get any love in the best defensive player, even after coming off winning Defensive Player of the Year last year. But Not really surprised by that because I was shocked when he won the award. I didn't think they were going to give it to a guard. And I think across the rest of the league, players, coaches, and other GMs just don't. I don't think it's that they don't like Marcus Smart. I just don't think they believe he's as good as a defender as I do.
He did get perimeter defender though, right? He did get perimeter defender.
Yeah, he did get votes for that. Yes, just not.
The
for
league will
defensive
pick
player of the year.
Gotcha.
The league will pick big guys every second for the defensive things over the small. Like Marcus Smart getting it last year was them. I feel like them just giving him the acknowledgement that he's been so incredible, and then he's never going to come near it again for any of these votings.
More just to do the whole give it to a guard.
Yeah, you got to change it up a little bit. Yeah, and then it's going to be Giannis this year or something crazy like that.
Right.
Again. Like it's just gonna that's where they always default to. But seeing him get the best, he is the best defensive player on the perimeter by far. So that's where he should definitely get that respect.
Mm-hmm. Anything else otherwise, or should we get into this Southwest preview here?
I think we should get into the Southwest. I'm hyped for this division. I love this division.
It's loaded.
Yeah,
it's loaded up.
Let's start with the Memphis Grizzlies here. 56-26 last year. Lost to the Warriors in the second round. Some drama in that series. Draymond having fun, going back and forth with the Grizz. But yeah, very exciting. Over under for this year, 48.5. Steve, start us off. What are you thinking?
Over. This Grizzlies team. I think they were one of the most impressive teams in the second half of last year. You just kind of saw how they grew. Ja turned into from a star and a really good player to a superstar this past season, and he's only going to get better. I think Ja, I know we didn't really bring it up with the NBA GM survey, but I think he's someone who could very well be in an MVP conversation based on how this year goes. Desmond Bane looked great in his second year. I love this Grizzlies team. I think they are one of the fastest, most athletic teams, and they're just gonna make it very, very tough for their opponents. I think that's the biggest thing for the Grizzlies is they are gonna make it tough for whoever they're playing. Just the style of basketball they play, they're probably gonna play a little smaller. They can play big when they need to, but this is just a team that's gonna want to run. This is gonna be a team that wants to stretch the floor, and this is a team with arguably one of, if not the best point guard in the NBA with Ja Morant, who can take over games. And if you want to be a title contender, you have to have that type of player on your team. I know I like deep teams. I like teams that have good pieces all out, but the NBA is a star-driven league, and the Memphis Grizzlies have found themselves a superstar with Ja Morant. And I think the sky's the limit for this team this year. I was telling you guys about this, I think, months ago. I saw the Grizzlies at 24-1 odds to win the championship. And even though they may not be my favorites to win, I think those odds are outlandish. I think this team is only going to get better because they're super young, too. They were super young last year. They keep the same core together. I love the Grizzlies this year. I don't see how they don't get to 50 wins unless barring a major injury to Ja. But other than that, sign me up for the Grizzlies. I love this team.
Jake, what do you got?
I don't know. I've been going back and forth while Stevie was talking still. I've been going back and forth on these teams all day long, bro. I am very worried that Jaren Jackson Jr. is not going to be healthy during the whole entirety of the year, and I don't know. It's gonna. I got to bring up the Pelicans already because they're the team that is giving me the worry. I've told you guys so many times the math problem for this is what really worries me.
Right,
man. The healthy Pelicans from 36. We all have them over on this list. They could easily be last year's Memphis team, and how much more of a jump is Ja going to make this year without his second star? That's my biggest thing. Stats wise, everything else. They were good without him too. And they were good without Ja last year.
They were very good without Ja.
Amazing all year long, whatever. But if I'm just looking at the totality of the West and we're talking about in this division. I'm not picking 3 overs for these teams, for all 3 of these teams. I got to pick one of the unders. It was going back and forth between either I'm going to have to just pick against Ja Morant or pick against Luka Doncic. And I'm going on. I think it's like 48. I think they're like the 5 seed. I don't think they're a 56 win. I don't think they're anywhere close to 56 this year. That's for sure. And I think that they will be one of the team. And I think it's just as about my belief in hopefully Zion being healthy and that team accelerating beyond what people think they're going to take the league by storm if he's healthy and looks anything like he did the last time we saw him on the court. Right. And your boy Luka, who everybody forgot about and left it back in the narrative back burner during all last season because we got all this Ja hype and everything else that was coming from him. He kind of overtook everything. And then Luka's the one who reminded us in the playoffs, put a team on his back and willed this team to the conference finals out of nowhere. Like
John's Phoenix. He's the owner of the Suns.
Yeah.
And that game 7 it just rings in my mind. And he's done that in how many clutch situations. So maybe that's not the idea to do it for the regular season, but between Jaren Jackson being out and the other 2 teams in this division, I think are going to be damn good again this year. That's where I'm going to go with the under. And I feel really crazy saying that about a Ja Morant led team at this point, but
yeah, I'm going over. I don't think they did all that much to improve this offseason, but it's kind of they're set up where they improve without adding guys really, because I think Ja's still going to get better every year. I think we haven't seen the best of Desmond Bane yet. So it's pretty much those 2 for me. And a big thing of why I can confidently say that I like the over is because of, you guys just touched on it, but how well they played without Ja. Like if they can do that, if they're missing him on any given night, that means the core, the nucleus of their team is obviously good enough to get it done without Ja Morant. And, you hope he has a much healthier year than he did last year. I think Memphis has good coaching. I think they know their brand of basketball. I think they know their identity. They're a year older, more polished. Like I said, Bane and Ja are the 2 dudes who I think elevate this squad. So yeah, I'm taking the over here.
I think too, and it's very underrated, but Danny Green might actually help them a little bit. Yeah. Adding Danny Green, it could give them, some scoring coming off the bench, a little bit of defense there. I think Zaire Williams takes a step up this year. He's still super young, and he's a rookie I liked a lot out of college. I think he's going to be good. And Brandon Clark and Dylan Brooks, for what it's worth, are the 2 of the most just underrated players in the NBA because no one talks about them, but they just do what they need to do for this team. So I get the concerns with Jaren Jackson, Jake. I completely understand it, but I feel like the Grizzlies are almost in that, and I don't want to put them in this category yet, but almost in that next man up type of category where if Jaren Jackson misses some time, it won't bother him. When Ja Morant missed some time, it didn't really bother him. Desmond Bane turned into the primary ball handler, scorer, whatever. So I'm not too concerned with the Jaren Jackson injury. Could be, important, but I don't know. I just like the culture that the Memphis Grizzlies have established, and I think all credit to that goes to the coaching staff and also Ja Morant for really kind of getting this team chemistry together. And I think that they brought back, they didn't really have a lot of new pieces, and I think that almost benefits them because it's the same team. They're growing together. Yeah. They're all young. They're growing together.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So we're just gonna do one burning question per team here on this preview. Steve, why don't you hit us with it? What do you think?
So you guys know I'm very high on the Memphis Grizzlies. I think sky's the limit for this team. I think they showed a lot at the end of last year, and then they're battling the playoffs with the Warriors, which was probably the worst matchup they could have got, but a great battle. So I think, what do you guys think the season expectations are for the Grizzlies this year? And is this the team that could add a big piece, maybe middle of the season, at some point to the season, to, kind of jump them up into the playoffs? Because maybe they do need another guy. Maybe they would like to have a stretch forward or something that they can give the ball to in the playoffs. But do you think, the Grizzlies are going to add a piece? And do you think this is a team that can win the championship? Like, what are the expectations? Because I think this team is, if they're close enough, they're going to go for a championship this year. They're going to try to get someone.
Jake, you take that.
I mean, I think they have as good a chance as anybody in the West, but I just think the West is better than it was last year. And that's why they, as much as I agree with everything you guys said about how good this team is, even without Ja, even without Jaren, and I'm not as worried about Jaren Jackson. I just have high hopes for Jaren Jackson. So him not living up to those hopes and now being hurt and all these things, wanting to, like, maybe it's like a little bit of wanting to believe that he has that impact on that team. Maybe it isn't, though. Maybe it is, like, that's a guy that if he was living up to his potential right now, I wouldn't even be questioning any bit. I'd say they're the favorites. Like, that's really what it comes down to with that pivot point with them. I don't know. I don't know if I can say that I think that they're a favorite to even get to I would have the Warriors and Clippers in the conference finals and be a level ahead of everybody. I have this Grizzlies team more in that range with Denver and Dallas and those types of teams going into this year. So I think that they can compete. I think they can contend. But until I see them get over that hump or be consistently as dominant as they were last year, those two teams are just gonna take up my headspace and the airspace for me with the Western Conference.
So you think basically same thing as last year, right? Second round exit for the Grizzlies?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's what if I was like gun to my head there. If I was doing like tearing it out, it's Warriors and Clippers are 1 and 2 on a different day, whatever 1 and 2 are going to be there. But
I'm going to answer the expectations question by touching on that, adding another piece. I think I don't have championship expectations with them until they add another piece.
Gotcha.
I think they're, on the verge. They're probably in the same group as like the Celtics were last year. Like, I don't think many people are saying the Celtics, were championship favorites going into last year, but obviously by the end of the season, where were they at? They were beating everybody. I think the Grizzlies have that potential on their team. Like I said, it's going to be about Bane. It's going to be about Ja taking that next step and just continuing to improve. I do think, however, if they can add another offensive piece, someone that can put the ball in the basket, and it's just like a go-to scorer. I think that's what they need to put alongside Bane and Ja, because those guys can both score. I think Ja can, he can score at all levels. He's proved that. I think they're a little bit. They're missing someone, a go-to guy, though, because I don't think Ja, at least yet, obviously he has room to grow. I don't think he has like the Damian Lillard, Kyrie Irving, where he can create his own shot from anywhere. He can attack the basket and dunk on anyone whenever he pleases. I think he's missing that create for himself, shot clock's winding down. He has to shoot a fall away. I don't think we're thinking that Ja can hit shots like that consistently. And I think a best player of a championship team kind of needs to be able to do that, or you have to have a guy that you can go to in moments like that. I don't know if there's a guy on Memphis that does that right now, and it could be Ja. Like we're saying, he's still growing, he's still getting better every year. I wouldn't be surprised if Ja Morant comes out and is that player this year. But those are my expectations. I think they're a piece away, but I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility that they go and grab that piece and make the finals.
That's completely fair. I kind of like that. I think Zaire Williams will take a big jump this year. That's all I'm going to say. That's my college basketball in me coming out a little bit. But I think Zaire Williams will take a jump. And we did see flashes of Jada in the playoffs start to create his own shot a little bit. We did see flashes of that. And if there's anyone, Dunny, in an offseason that can really just add something to their game, Ja's on the short list of players that I would put on that list where he can just add something to his game, just working on it all off season.
Yeah, his dad probably texted him and told him he sucked and needed to work on that. You guys hear that? What I think it was when he went on Part of My Take. Actually, he was telling like Big Cat and PFT that his dad would just like text him after games and be like, "You suck, like get better." And like it's been that way.
That's a good motivator.
Yeah,
and hey, it's working. It's clearly working.
Yeah. that's like beyond tough love. But yeah, it like you said, it works. So yeah, maybe his dad's been in his ear about being a closer in games. So we'll look out for the Memphis Grizzlies. Me and Steve taking their over. Jake just under. He's saying for the win total.
It's just math, guys.
48.5.
It's no hate. See, Stevie's been trying to get me in trouble with Meerkat, saying
I know,
we're Nuggets haters, and it's not. It's just math. They all can't win 50 games. I can't pick.
I know.
50 game
I know.
Come on, Steve.
I know.
What are you doing
I've
here?
been taking unders too. Jake here has the Lakers probably 60 wins, but that's where his math's off.
54. It's reasonable.
54. See,
54.
exactly.
Listen,
That's where the math gets off.
Anthony Davis is ready to be a demon this year, and that is fact.
Ah.
That is fact.
All
Y'all
right,
forget about Anthony Davis.
Oh boy, here we go.
Y'all
I
forget.
haven't forgotten about the brow.
The
next
you
team-
can't, because you probably have like a million tweets from like 2017 to 2016 to 2018
Asking for Davis to come
asking
to
for
Boston.
Anthony Davis. Yes.
Yeah. For sure I do.
Yeah,
we've covered this track.
The next team also has an over-under of 48.5 wins. The Dallas Mavericks. Someone who has already proven they can create their own shots. Luka Doncic. And the Dallas Mavericks, they lost in the conference finals to Golden State, as we know, after embarrassing the Phoenix Suns, like Steve talked about. The owner of the Phoenix Suns, in quotes. What do you guys? I'll start with the total. I think the Dallas Mavericks are going under 48.5. I think we might have. I don't know how this came up recently, because obviously we haven't talked about this team until now. But I feel like I said this recently on the podcast that the Dallas Mavericks just did not get better this offseason. At least I don't. In my opinion, I don't. And if they did, very minimally. So yeah, it's as simple as that. They won 52 games last year. I don't think they got all that much better, and the West as a whole got a lot better. I think Luka needs more help, but I just don't see it. I don't see them hitting that 49 mark.
I got the jersey on, and I feel ashamed saying this, but Donnie, I'm with you. I'm with you with the under. I really am. I feel bad because I'm going to root for Luka every game. I want the Mavericks to be an elite team, and I think Luka has that type of superstar ability where he can take over games and carry them on his back, but I'm with you. I don't think they got better. Losing Jalen Brunson is big for this team. Regardless of what you think of Jalen Brunson, he was that guard depth that they needed when maybe Luka was in foul trouble or Luka was getting double, triple teamed or whatnot. Jalen Brunson was able to take the ball up the court. And he was the type of guy, sorry about the sirens, guys. He was the type of guy who really the Mavs relied on as that secondary ball handler. And I don't know if Spencer Dinwiddie's going to be that for the Mavs this year. I just don't. He's been too inconsistent. I like Dinwiddie, but I'm just not completely sold on him. And they added Christian Wood. We've already seen that the Mavs don't want Christian Wood to start, which is just stupid. I don't know why you don't want him to start. But Christian Wood is not a good defender. And that is the one thing the Mavs need help with. They don't have any good defenders down low whatsoever. And now they add another big man. So, yeah, he can shoot outside a little bit. Christian Wood definitely better than the other big men they have at scoring, his offensive abilities, rebounding. But he's not a good defender. And as much as I love Luka, Luka's not a great on-ball defender either. Like, the Mavs just don't have a great defense. They lose guard depth. And I don't know. Luka can only do so much. I mean, it's Dallas, so maybe they add someone at some point. But for now, with this roster, I look at it, and you know how much I love Luka. I know they're getting Hardaway back, but I'm going under. I just don't see them as a 50-win team because I think there's so many other teams in the West that got better where the Mavs maybe got worse.
Hardaway coming back, huge for them. Huge for them with the Brunson stuff. Huge for them, just the perimeter defense. Definitely, he's definitely on the plus side on that. And I think that was not mentioned enough last year when people were talking about
Okay.
Dallas for the injury trouble that he had, just because that's how high I think he's probably still a little overpaid for what he actually is at about 19 million, but maybe not even. Maybe that's about like the exact kind of range he should be at this point. I think he was overpaid and has played up to that standard and think that's going to be huge. You're right about Christian Wood. Don't know what's going on there, but is it weird for me to think that he's more reliable than Porzingis is?
No, not at all.
And that, so it's kind of an upgrade. It's kind of an upgrade.
I mean, yeah.
It is like if you're talking about Porzingis
is.
comparatively, who had such a huge role in this team, I'd rather have Christian Wood in that.
Well,
I don't like your Dinwiddie slander, either of you, because I love Spencer Dinwiddie. So no Dinwiddie slander is allowed. That is completely biased. I don't care. Love him. He's making 29 or 20 million in Bitcoin this year, and he's living the dream, bro. I don't know. I just think Luka, if I had to pick between, this really comes down to when I was telling you guys earlier with Memphis. It really came down to, am I going to pick Luka or am I going to pick Ja to lead one of these rosters? This is definitely a worse roster.
Yeah, I think the Grizzlies roster is much better. If you take Ja and Luka just away from the teams, I think Grizzlies a much better supporting cast, right?
It would be a mess. But this is one of the most fun, like, who do you want to start your franchise questions with, Luka or Ja? I think I've seen that a bunch. I've had that conversation with people, and I pick Luka every day of the week. I think he lifts these tides, and I still think that he's got room. He's
shocking.
I mean, bro, like he's got room to just fucking keep having more effect on the game. He almost averaged 30, 10, and 10 last year. Like, and theoretically, I still think he can be more efficient. That's the craziest thing, is he can be more efficient and be one of these have one of these transcendent seasons and be this transcendent player. And I think last year, all the attention that came off of him and all that shit, that's what led to that playoff run, because he felt disrespected by everybody all year. People calling him fat, calling him lazy, saying that he didn't care, all this shit. And the dude came out. What did he do? Went to the conference finals in a season where no one expected them to do so. I just think internal motivation, don't know anything about these guys. And I know Ja has definitely been in the lab all summer, definitely driving to get better and everything else. But if we're talking chip on your shoulder and things like that, like Luka has heard everything for the last year.
True.
And then is still not getting talked about after he took this team during the playoffs to the heights no one thought they were going to be. I just feel like he's going to come out on a mission. Like, and the GM survey is informative to this too, because I wonder what they've heard about Luka in the summer. And we've seen what he was able to do in some of the Euro Cup games and everything else. Looked incredible. I don't know. It's just a bet on Luka, and I don't feel bad about betting on Luka Doncic to carry a team. I think he can. LeBron carried worse rosters to win all the time, and I think Luka is potentially at that level of team lift of benefiting teammates and everything else.
Yeah, I just think the only difference there with the LeBron, the Lucas, just the other teams around weren't as great. Really, where LeBron kicked those Cavs teams.
I just mean
is stacked. That's my biggest worry. And I'm the biggest Lucas supporter. I'd be all for that if he carries this team again. I just think at some point you're asking the guy to do too much, and I just look at the roster around him, and I'm like, Luka missed some games last year. He didn't play every game. If Luka misses some games again, they don't have Jalen Brunson anymore. I don't think that Dinwiddie can fill that role that Brunson did. Dinwiddie never really had to. He never really had to play without Luka and Brunson. So that's, I think, my biggest concern. And I don't know. I mean, I think the Mavs could be a 50-win team. It wouldn't surprise me. But I look at the West and I look at so many teams that got better. And the Mavs didn't in my eyes. And that's not taking anything away from Luka. I'm going to bet him to win MVP. It's guaranteed. But like with Jokic with the Nuggets, you can only do so much with the talent you have around you.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing, Steve. It's like it's not that I don't think that the Mavs team will be good. It's just, if I'm gonna put my money into numbers, it would be that Luka, has an MVP season more so than them guaranteeing to get to 50 wins.
Mm-hmm.
What do we got for a burning question here, gentlemen, about the Dallas Mavericks? We kind of covered a lot there, but
Who wants it? I gave the last burning question. Why don't you guys take it?
I think we just covered everything because mine was just about how, and it was kind of the same that you had for Memphis, just how serious of a contender this team is. But I think they're all in the same spot as we talked about Memphis being, that they're just, it would take more to get them to that point where they're in the NBA finals and you're like, oh, and they definitely are a team who should be and probably is looking to add any piece next to Luka Doncic. I still think Brad Beal is been on their radar for a minute, especially now that he has this contract and is a super max and everything else. Wouldn't help them defensively, but I mean, I don't know how you would stop those guys.
Yeah, you can't game plan for that, man.
Yeah, I don't know how you could deal with that. But somebody along those lines, this is going to be the Draymond spot. He's going to end up in Dallas. Him in Dallas.
Hey, that would be actually a nice fit.
That kind
of those two would the amount of trash talk that would come from that basketball team would just be absurd.
Here's what's gonna happen. Luka's gonna sprain his ankle after the Mavs start 4-6. Cuban's gonna shut him down for the year. They're gonna draft Victor, and then we go. Mavs dynasty is set.
Get out of here! No shot, bro.
Luka and Victor would be.
That's my 2K building a Mavs franchise next year.
They gotta get somebody.
Yeah.
It's a shame that Luka has not had a top flight teammate at this point yet, and it's hard. It is hard to do.
Still early.
It is early.
He's still young. I mean,
it is early. But Booker's had him. Booker's got CP.
Mm-hmm.
Ja's had him pretty much the whole time. Jared, at least theoretically. Zion has had Ingram pretty much most of the run at this point. Luka's never had anybody close to it. Their try was Porzingis. I mean, we were talking about
it was tough, man.
It's a tough comparison.
I mean, they tried at least, right? They tried. It didn't work out because.
Yeah. How good did you feel about that though when that happened? The most optimistic.
Initially happened. Initially, when Porzingis still had the hype, I thought it was a decent fit. I thought defense was going to be a disaster, but I thought it could be someone who could really help Luka with a secondary scorer, a guy could take over games, because we saw it a little bit with Porzingis and the Knicks when he was healthy. It's just injuries kind of added up, and he's one of those guys just never improved.
And he's a psycho. It is his family is out fighting people in the streets of Latvia. So
that too.
He's just that's what I was already out on Porzingis maybe more than anybody else when he got traded there. And thought it was probably the worst influence to put with Luka Doncic, and maybe that's why Luka showed up fat. Who knows? He was looking pretty husky last year. I think he would admit that. It was the James Harden diet.
It was a cheeseburger from time to time. No shame in that. No shame in that when you're doing what you're doing in the playoffs.
People tried to say that he was drinking a beer before Game 5 or 4.
With Boban.
Boban.
That's underrated too. No Boban. Luka's buddy's gone. That's really sad.
That is really sad. I don't like that.
He's on a different team now. We'll talk about him.
We'll get there.
These were two interesting teams to have back to back, because it's I think I wouldn't be surprised if I saw the Mavs get to the finals, just because Luka willed them there. But I don't think Memphis, unless they make a move, is able to get there. But I like their win total over, and I don't like the Mavs win total over.
Same here.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, this division in general is interesting, and mostly just these top three teams, obviously. But let's get to this third squad: the New Orleans Pelicans, the Pels, the team with Zion Williamson on it. 36-46 last year. They won a play-in and then lost to Phoenix in 6. They have their guy back. They have Zion. He looks way less fat. He looks pretty jacked, honestly. Ingram had a hell of a season last year. They have young standouts that make their team super exciting. You got GTA, you got Herb Jones, you got Jackson Hayes, who I actually really like, and I think he gets overlooked a lot. But yeah, I really like this Pels team. 45.5 is the over/under. Where are we at here?
This is the easiest. Yeah, this is the easiest bet of my life.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, not even a question. Not even a question. Go ahead, Steve.
No, it's just
I'm in
it's
agreement
just
with you guys.
one of those like 45 and a half. Like we watched how this team played when they got just McCollum, when it was Ingram and McCollum at the end of the year. And we saw the rise of their rookies, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Alvarado, who was an incredible defender for them in the playoffs in short spurts. I mean, I love the culture the Pelicans have. This is a feisty team. And they're getting Zion back. Regardless if you think Zion's going to be full strength Zion or it's going to take a little bit, do people forget what Zion was doing? Do
People's
they just
attention spans
that's
are
something
gone.
that
They
just
don't-
people forgot how dominant he was on a basketball court years ago? Like they're getting that guy back. They're adding him to this team. We saw how great McCollum and Brandon Ingram were as a duo. They were giving the Suns all they could handle. And now you get Zion back. And not to mention, too, you want to talk about the perfect role players around these three guys? The Pelicans have it. The Pelicans have it. You guys know how much I love Herb Jones. You got Valanciunas, who's good for 20 and 20 some games, where he's just going to get 20 rebounds and help you. We talked about Alvarado. We talked about Trey Murphy. You've got, I mean, I just look at this roster. You just go down this roster. It's a good roster, and you're adding in, and I know I'm being a little optimistic here, but a potential generational type player with Zion Williamson. They're going to get 46 wins. It's just, it's happening.
Zion Williamson has obviously had the foot injury last year, so missed the entirety of the year. This was also in the midst, Zion's career basically started in the midst of COVID. So this is like the worst possible year you could have started a career was 2019, 2020. But so far in his career, he's played about a season, 85 games, and he is averaging 25 points and 7 rebounds in a year of basketball. 85 it's going into his basically his second year of full seasons, averaging 25 points a game. And just everything you said about that. This is a nice little stat that Pro Basketball Reference just gave me. You ready for this? Zion Williamson scored 362 points in the first 15 games of his career. There are only 3 players who scored more points in that time frame. One of them is Michael Jordan, greatest basketball player of all time. Bernard King and Terry Cummings also in there. Behind him, Allen Iverson, Shaquille O'Neal, Brandon Jennings. Great pull. What an electric.
What a name.
This is the impact he's had though since he started, since he came into the league, was be able to be effective. They were running point Zion at one point, and it was terrifying. It was just terrifying. They're not going to have to do that with the presence of McCollum and Ingram and everything else. I just think if Zion's healthy, this team, he is one of the top 5 forces in the league, like comparable to anybody. You could give me any name. I would put Zion's potential up there with them. And this team, as long as he's healthy, and I'm anticipating he will be, should flourish.
Yeah. Something I'm getting excited for, and just like thinking about Zion and Ingram and McCollum playing together, is it's going to be awesome when these guys are on like late night primetime national TV and they're just beating up some night on some of the other juggernauts in the West. Like I looked it up to see when the Pelicans and Lakers first play each other. November 2nd.
Well,
I think I'm guaranteeing a Pelicans win on November 2nd.
Wow. Lock it in, folks.
I think I just like I can just picture it. Like I can just picture LeBron and AD, because the rest of that starting 5 in Los Angeles is not anything to write home about. I can see them getting stunned by Zion. Brandon Ingram with a chip on his shoulder. The Lakers kind of just letting him walk out the door when he was a young buck. He is a lot more polished. Zion, he'll be an issue for the Lakers on November 2nd. And I'm really looking forward to that. And it's not just the Lakers specifically. Obviously Zion, LeBron, that's going to be must-watch TV. But even all these, the 2 other teams we've just talked about, Denver, Golden State, like they're going to be an interesting team to watch against these other good teams in the Western Conference, because much like you guys are saying, I feel like people are just like forgetting how good Zion was. People are forgetting how good the Pelicans just were a year ago without Zion. Now they get him coming back. He's in the what seems to be at least the best shape of his NBA career by far.
Oh, he looks
probably
yoked,
the
man.
best shape of his life.
He's never looked like this. He's never
Right.
looked like that. Yeah.
Because even in high school, in college, like it was just it still came so easy to him then. Like he didn't have to be in shape. We obviously found out he has to get in better shape, and he took it a step further than that. I mean, he looks fantastic right now. Yeah, but Pels have nothing but good vibes.
I'll tell you what, when the Pelicans go small, they play 3 guards, and they have Zion and Herb Jones as their stretch forwards. Who's matching up with that? Who in the NBA can play with that type of athleticism in the front court? And not many teams, I'll tell you that much. And Herb Jones is the perfect complement to having 3 scorers like Zion, Ingram, and McCollum. Herb Jones, he'll take 4 shots a game. He won't care. He'll take a couple open threes. But he's
Zion's
just going to be a dog.
Zion's going to be a force defensively too.
That's what I'm saying.
No doubt in my mind.
That's what I'm saying. Who's going to match up with that front court when they're like, hey, we're going to play small, and Herb is our 4, Zion's our 5.
You're saying small. I'm saying imagine if they play big and they have Adams and Zion and Herb and Ingram and CJ. Like
they'll play Jonas
scoring or Jonas. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, I know
fucking scoring on that line. I mean, shit. Yeah, like you said, the vibes are all there. This team is they're just primed, man, and it's all the signs were showing last year. And it's the biggest addition anybody could have had is adding Zion to this roster going into the season.
Yeah,
it's just I'm very, very excited. They opened the season, guys. You want to talk about big games, Sonny? I don't think it's on national TV, but the Pelicans season starts in Brooklyn. That is like the most interesting first game.
It's going to be such a fun first game.
I wasn't thinking of them beating up on Eastern Conference juggernauts.
That's not a national TV game.
No, I don't think so.
God.
It could.
Shout
I'll check
out
the
League
schedule
Pass.
quick, but yeah,
we're gonna be able to see Herb Jones
whatever you got.
lock up Ben Simmons on. Yeah, so I'm glad we got past the Mavs and Grizzlies because it sounds like we could not be in more of an agreement about the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm glad as a Celtics fan that they're in the Western Conference. Let's just say that.
Do we think they win the division? Right now, if you had to pick one of these 3
they're my 3 seed. Yes, they're my 3 seed in the league.
Wow.
I think I kind of like
they're in the league in the
division.
conference.
I think it's them or Memphis, but
That's where I am with it, Dunny. Them or Memphis. I don't know which one I'd pick, but I think they're going to be neck and neck all year long.
yeah, especially if we see the same. I mean, I guess both these teams kind of have had injury issues in the past, but yeah, I guess that makes it even closer race. I wouldn't be surprised at all if it was the Pels. I can say that for sure.
And I'll tell you what, as someone, as you guys know, who is invested in the sports cards, the hobby side of this, if it's Pelicans, Grizzlies going back and forth for the top of the division, one of the top seeds in the West, those 1920 products for basketball cards through the roof for the Zion Ja class would be through the roof. As soon as, because people right now, everyone's getting the hype for Ja. As soon as people realize, oh, Zion's getting Zion hype again, good luck. Good luck.
That one of the points I wanted to make about this division is I do think that Memphis New Orleans is like the next great NBA rivalry, like divisional rivalry. I don't know if that means either of them are going to win finals back and forth, anything like that. I just think we've seen teams get nasty with each other within the division. I think the Clippers and basically the Lakers and Warriors, everybody they've had beef with, the Suns, they've had good. Obviously, the Celtics and Sixers is probably the preeminent one divisional rivalry right now going on in the league. In the past, we've had like I just think that there's an opportunity. They're not that far away. They're both like the Southeast, like on the verge of Southeast, Southwest, really just the South, like the 2 of the teams down there. I think that that's potential to be special.
That would be such a fun rivalry too, because they were the top 2 picks in that class. Oh,
exactly. It plays out perfectly. All right, we good on the Pelicans here.
Oh,
I want to get into the Houston Rockets. This is for you, Stevie, more than anything, because I think that Jabari Smith has been forgotten about.
I do too.
And this is a guy who had first overall hype, obviously. Like, and Paulo ended up going first, and it didn't break down the way. But he, leading up to the day, there was a lot of people that believed he was going to go number 1 overall. But the rest of this roster, like him and Jalen Green, they look. I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself, but they look like a competent NBA team. They kind of do, at least from what. Like, I feel like whatever happened last year, it was a horrible year. Obviously, you could see on the screen, not a good year.
No,
not a good year at all. But they added our boy Boban, we were talking about there. They added Derek Favors in a trade that was very confusing to everybody last week. But it's an adult. It's an adult in the building. That's what they needed desperately. I think Eric Gordon will get them a good trade return at some point in this season. I am one of the biggest Mo Harkless fans in the world, I think, at this point. Maybe one of the only people left on Mo Harkless Island. Still think he's going to be a contender at some point, but who knows? Another year of Sengun, who had so much love last year. Your boy, Ty Washington.
Yeah, Ty and Tari Eason. Talk about a couple other rookies that people don't talk about enough. I mean, obviously you talk about Jabari, kind of been forgotten, but Ty and Tari Eason were guys that had a lot of hype in college. I mean, this team's young, Jake, right? Let's not lie about it. It's a young team.
Yeah. But they are not. They were devoid of talent last year, and now there are pieces in place and all over the roster. I feel like.
And not to mention, too, and take this what you will, but Josh Christopher was getting raved about in camp in the preseason. They're raving about him. And we talk about the rookies last year. I think one of the deepest rookie classes we've seen in a while, obviously at the top with Scotty, Mobley, Cade. I don't think there was any rookie who improved as much or as quickly from the first half of the year to the second half of the year as Jalen Green. I mean, it was a night and day and night type of situation. It was.
He turned up.
First half of the year, it was like, he's really struggling against NBA defenders. He can't really find his shot. Second half of the year, it's like this guy could drop 30 any night. And adding a guy like Jabari Smith, I think, is only going to help Jalen Green. You guys know how much I love Jabari Smith. I had him going number 1 in my draft. I think Jabari Smith not only is got very high ceiling offensively because he can create his own shot, he can shoot the ball. The only thing he really needs to work on is playmaking. But defensively, he might be one of the best defenders in the entire class as well. And that's something this Rockets team needed, because if anyone, and this is just probably a certain section of degenerates, watched Rockets games last year, it was like they didn't try on defense. It was like, we're going to try to beat you 130 to 120 with a bunch of guys who don't deserve to start an NBA roster. Now, add in a few defenders. You said they added Favors, who kind of helps just being, a veteran presence. A lot of young talent. Sengun maybe has a bigger role this year. They're not going to be a great team, but the win total is 24, Jake. That's low. I think they can get there. I think they can get to 25. That's low. I think they can get there. I think it's close, but I think they're maybe a high 20s, right around 30 win team. And this is me. I'm a very big fan of Jabari, so I'm a little more optimistic here. But I'm excited to see, regardless of how the Rockets are, I think Jabari and Jalen Green can be a sneaky duo in the league this year, where they're just both going to put up numbers.
You guys are talking me out of my under here.
I'm over too. I'm over too. Everything's. When you were gone, I was just raving about how this roster looks.
I just
like an NBA team again.
That's the thing. It pained me to take the under earlier when I did this, because I like all the guys you've been talking about. Jake, I was away from the camera. I heard you talk about Mo Harkless. I love Mo Harkless as well.
I love big Mo Harkless guy.
Everyone loves Mo Harkless.
I used to take him in all my 2K associations, hoping because he always had an A+ potential for some reason. So we always get nasty. They got Kenyon Martin Jr. who is just for now he's mostly just a name, but he's still so young and obviously has the talent. And this is gonna sound weird because I I guess I'll just stay to my under pick as much as I think I honestly think this team could smash the over if things work out. But the way I see this team, they're a year away from being the Pistons of the Western Conference, in my opinion. Like that, they're just young up and down their roster,
Yes,
bunch of talent, but a lot of it's raw. Like I think we love Kevin Porter Jr. I think we love Jalen Green's talent, but like you said, Steve, like Jalen Green looked like a different player from the first half of last year to the second. We saw that there's still some inconsistency there. We saw that he can be sloppy at times, but he turned the corner. Obviously, KPJ, it's kind of been that way his whole career. I think he has dazzling games where he'll stun you, and you check the stat sheet, and he's got a triple double. Other games, he's either in foul trouble or he's just completely out of it and has poor shooting nights. And then Jabari Smith, he was pretty much the alien before Victor walked around like 8 months ago when we're talking college ball. Like no one could shut up about Jabari Smith. You got to love the talent up and down.
We said it on here, right, Dunny? We said it on here about Jabari Smith. He's Ben Simmons. If Ben Simmons wanted to try to shoot a basketball, that's what his ceiling could be. And anyone who knows basketball was like, if Ben Simmons would develop a shot and turn into a shooter, that's one of the best players in the league. And that's what we were talking about last year when we were just talking about Auburn and college basketball. Like, that's the potential he has. But I think you're right, Dunny. It's a young team. It's a super, super young team. And with a young team, there is growing pains. You look up and down this roster of guys that are going to make an impact. You have Jabari, who's 19 years old, right? He's a baby still. Jalen Green is 20. Josh Christopher, 20. Tari Eason, 21. You have Sengun, 20. Jayshawn Tate is their veteran for guys who are going to get minutes at 26 years old. Kenyon Martin Jr., 21. Theo Maladin, 21. Ty Washington, 20. Half this team can't even have a legal drink. Yeah, it's a super young team. So I absolutely understand the concerns there because it's also they're not experienced. So if something goes wrong or there's an injury, then maybe it's a lot harder for them to overcome it than other teams.
That was my thought process basically with the under. It was just they were super inconsistent last year. They had some issues and they're just super young. And I think eventually their one will be Jabari Smith, but they also don't really have a true one on the team right now, at least in my opinion. Obviously, I'm sure some people think it's Jalen Green. Some people think it's Jabari. I don't think they have one. The youth is really what made me take the under. And just I like the over for a lot of the other teams in this conference and especially in this division. So, yeah, it was just kind of a business decision there, just taking the under. But like I said,
I like that.
Excited about the Rockets roster, excited about this young talent. And I love that you mentioned Josh Christopher because I like weirdly find some players in high school and he goes by Jay Gupp on Instagram. I always just watch like overtime highlights or like watch showcases sometimes. And I've been following Josh Christopher on Instagram for like 5-6 years now, and I've been waiting for him to get his opportunity. I think he has a good shot of getting some serious minutes here with the Rockets. So
I think so.
Josh Christopher.
I think the Rockets are going to play guys that earn the minutes. And this is what I was saying to Jake before you pop back in, Dunny, is that, yes, Jabari Smith, Jake said, was forgotten a little bit about because people project him to go 1. He falls 3 to the Rockets. But Tari Eason and Ty Washington, 2 rookies that we all loved in the college basketball season. Now, we can't really predict what their roles are going to be. But if these are guys to get minutes, the Rockets could come away with steals from this draft class. Like, this is maybe not this year, even if I think they'll get to the win total. I think they'll be right around 28, 29 wins. But even if they don't, the future in Houston is as bright as it's ever been in a long time. I think they have a lot of guys that they can build a core around. It's just a matter of will Jalen Green and Jabari Smith become those superstars that they hope.
if you guys remember too, I feel like another reason people are sleeping on Jabari Smith is because the very first summer league game was Paulo versus Jabari, and Jabari did not play well at all.
Right.
And I think people just saw those clips and just ran with them. It's like, well, but we've seen such a bigger sample size of him being absolutely dominant, and he's only 19 years old.
Yeah.
I think he got dealt a bad hand in the summer league, and then people are like, oh, the Rockets, let's forget about him. So yeah, I think Jabari Smith has some people to prove wrong. He probably will, but we'll see about those Houston Rockets. I think it's safe to say that the Rockets are definitely on the up and up. Like last year it was kind of like, what are they building over there? But now it's like, oh, we know.
They got the pieces there. Yeah, it's nice to see them.
Speaking of that reaction, though, yeah.
I was going to say a team that is doing the exact opposite.
I was going to say.
The San Antonio
Quote of the year, possibly, before the season even starts for Greg Popovich.
It is. Oh, that's all. I think that's all I'll take away from this season is Pop just going out there and be like, guys, I know you got them. I know you got that FanDuel app on your phone. Just don't even – if you see the Spurs show up, just don't touch it. Don't touch our number for championships.
Yeah.
He didn't say for games, but – don't bet on the Spurs. There are going to be some absurd spreads on this Spurs team. If there's any way that they can listen, this is the franchise who got David Robinson. They got Tim Duncan, and Pop is just watching Victor Wembanyama like we all are.
That was like, Dunny's theory. That was Dunny's theory he brought up in the chat a few days ago. Pop's smart. He's a smart guy, right? When he says don't bet on this, no one's going to say that vocally or in the public unless they got a big plan working. And I think at this point, we've learned that Pop is smart. He knows what he's doing. He knows the type of roster he has, and he knows who he wants. He knows who he wants. Exactly. But yeah, I think I'll take mode.
Yeah. I mean, they have to, right? Like, it's like what I just said about the Rockets last year. It's like, what the hell are they even building over there?
It's the only possible answer.
They have no pillars. They have no core. Like whatever you want to call it. There's just nothing there. Like they have Jakob Poeltl, and apparently they want 2 first-rounders for him. Well, it looks like he's staying in San Antonio because no one's gonna fucking pay that for Jakob Poeltl. I'll tell you that right now.
You guys want to play a fun game?
Yeah.
Tell me the Spurs starting 5. pick a starting 5 from this group.
Yeah, I already had the roster up.
Well, Keldon Johnson has to
be he'll be in there. Right? Yep.
Josh Primo. They're gonna give Josh Primo.
I think Josh Primo will be in there. What about Vassell? Do we think Vassell will be in there?
Who's running point then? I feel like Trey Jones has to be in there.
Oh man.
Come on, guys. My guy Romeo Langford has to be in the starting lineup.
I refuse to do that.
I actually love Zach Romeo Langford.
Poeltl will be in there. That's the 5. Poeltl's the 5.
Poeltl's the 5.
Right?
Do you think they start Collins?
Who would be the 4?
When was the last time Zach Collins played basketball?
I don't know. But he's getting paid $7 million a year, which is 3rd highest on the team.
The Blazers must have given him that deal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh Richardson and Doug McDermott are their 2 highest paid players.
What about Roby at the 4?
Yeah, I can see that.
There's so many. They have so many guys like at the same talent level as Roby, and that's not good.
I don't like any of these options.
Trey
I wouldn't want to start any of these
get
players on my good basketball team.
Well, none of these guys are starters. That's the problem. That's why
there's no I'm just looking like there's just nothing. I don't want to start. You could tell me any starting combination. Just be like, it's trash.
I think Jakob Poeltl and Keldon Johnson would be the only guys who could start on other teams. I don't even think it's a guarantee that Keldon Johnson would start on other teams.
So Dougie McBuckets and Richardson have to start just because they got the money. Like that's just
experience.
One of them. I think one of them.
Yeah,
starts.
I think one of them will start. I honestly like Josh Richardson off the bench for this team.
Mm-hmm. I mean, sure.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who comes off the bench. They're going to be playing every night when they're down 40.
Yeah, they're going to be running
team's
15-man rotation.
John, you're not kidding. They're going to be like the first NBA team in years that has like 13 guys playing, and they're all playing 20 minutes a night.
Duncan might play, bro. They might just throw Timmy out there, just be like, "Hey, bro, you want to get a run in?" Like
with his braids or dreads, whatever he's got going on now.
He's gonna show him up one game. He's just gonna put up like 15 and 11, and he's be like, "Guys, come on."
But what is Pop's MO, dude? Because if he tanks and gets Victor, like, is he just gonna coach until he's like 90?
No, I think he's setting it up for Timmy.
That's
I think
what I
he's
thought
setting
too.
it up for Timmy.
True.
I
I was gonna say, but he's not gonna want to walk away once he sees Victor in person, dude. You know how
That
Pop
may
is.
give him
Well,
a few years.
Pop
Pop will probably have a few years with Victor.
Yeah.
Hold up, though. Pop is never not gonna be. He might not be the head coach,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
he's going to be like the czar of the Spurs forever.
True.
Like he's going to be basically Pat Riley, where he's not coaching, but we know where Tim Duncan's getting all his directives from. It's from Pop.
He's gonna be like a Sith Lord in Star Wars. They're just gonna have a hologram of him like show up.
Yeah,
at
exactly.
practice and
On the
stuff and team
sidelines.
meetings.
That's what's gonna be going on.
It's just gonna be a hologram of Pop pacing, but he's really gonna be at home.
What more legacy could you leave than an alien 7'5" basketball player?
I know.
You know the franchise is in good hands.
And you
From
know
deep-
Pop is gonna want to have his hands on it. Like he's gonna be like, yeah, this is mine.
I
This is-
drafted him,
This,
and
this
then he'll
shiny new
retire.
toy is mine.
Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, he's from overseas.
Yeah. Pop would say something like, we knew about this guy when he was 10 years old. We
Yeah.
had this plan in mind for 8 years to get him.
Tony Parker told me about him before he retired. Fuck, man. The Spurs. Yeah, I know. I mean, I think we already said it.
I will
it's
not
under.
watch one Spurs game this year, though.
It's
I
under.
guarantee you. Even if they play the Cavs, even if they play
The only
the
Spurs
Lakers,
games I'm watching is when they play the Celtics. I will.
I
watch
wouldn't
that.
even do it. Take the night off, Dunny. You got 80. You got 80 games you got to watch instead of 82. That's how I would treat the Spurs this year. If the Spurs beat your team, you should be ashamed. You should just give it up for like the rest. I think you should be eliminated from playoff contention.
Dude, we're gonna see some outrageous lines for Spurs games.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
At Clippers, it's gonna be like Spurs plus 28 and a half. Like, what are we doing? Like, this is professional basketball. We're gonna see some outrageous spreads
So
with
we
this.
should bet on the Spurs every game, though. We're talking all this shit, but maybe just bet on the
Yeah,
Spurs.
should we just take their points, see if they cover the number every time?
I might just bet the Spurs every game. Just be like, they're gonna be so slept on that we can make some money. One of my biggest wins ever is when the Bills were 17-point underdogs.
The Vikings game?
Yeah,
Yep.
I fucking hammered it. That's the most money I've ever put on a football game. I was like, Kirk Cousins should not be a 17-point favorite. And so, Vegas does that shit sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen with the Spurs. When the Spurs play the Warriors, what the fuck is that spread going to look like? It's going to be just nutty.
Well,
Nutty.
and Vegas knows too, right? People who bet NBA games, they're thinking of stars. There's not many people who could name more than 2 or 3 players on the Spurs right now. So they are going to set some of the most enticing lines, just begging people to lay this amount of points with a team against the Spurs. So I'm excited to see it. I really am. This Spurs team's going to be awful, but
they play Philly. They start Charlotte, Indiana, so those games will be whatever. Those are some pretty iffy teams to start. Then they go a Saturday at 6:00 Eastern at Philly. That game could be that could get ugly. And then they play back-to-back in Minnesota.
I think the spread is in that Philly game like 18 points.
Yeah.
Do they play in Milwaukee this year? Because that'd be like 25.
Oh yeah, they play in Milwaukee. Where are we at here? Might be later in the season. At Milwaukee, yeah, March 22nd, very late.
Oh, and by that time, I don't even know who they'd be playing gym teachers at that point if their tanking's going the way they want it.
I
At
can't wait
Golden
to
State,
see
November 14th.
San Antonio fans with the "We want Victor" signs are going to be so.
It's going to be opening night. Opening night, we'll see some big. I want to see a Wemby fucking Spurs jersey.
Custom
night.
Spurs.
Yes.
Oh, there's going to be so many, dude. Pop's gonna be printing him outside the stadium, dude.
Get a free Victor Wembanyama Spurs jersey.
Dude, I was gonna say that
fans.
they have like bobblehead night and it's Victor Wembanyama.
I guess, yeah. One more game with the Spurs roster before we get out of here. Who on this team is for sure going to be traded? Because there's a handful that, or at least there's at least 2 or 3 guys that have to be traded, right? Like I feel like it's just like mean to do this to guys like McDermott. Like what they're straight, especially if they're doing what Pop's saying. Like the intention is just to not win or to like not play. Like you have guys like Gorgie Dang,
Josh Richardson, right?
I think Keldon will be the only guy that would stay out of those vets. I think.
Do you think they want to keep Keldon around for the core? It's like he's still
young. He's still 22.
He's still young.
He was on fucking Team USA, bro. Pop fucking loves that guy.
That's true.
That dude had no business being on Team USA.
That is true. He loves him. Yeah. No, he's a Spur for life.
Keldon Johnson is a gold medalist. Just think.
Pirtle probably does get dealt, but it better not be. I mean, there's no way it's for 2 firsts. That's just crazy.
This is, you know what? I might just take Keldon Johnson's player props this year. I don't even know what they are, but you're right. Like they love him that much. If they're going to be bad, Pop's going to be like, "Hey, Keldon, just take 35 shots a night. Yeah, do everything."
Basically, what DeJounte did, just do it. Give it to Keldon and let him.
Your usage rate is going to be 80%. That's not even possible, but that's what it's going to be.
So yeah, everybody but Keldon Johnson. Well, everybody that's over the age of 22, and that's not Keldon Johnson, I think is pretty fair game. So that's your Pirtles.
Trey Jones.
Your Trey.
He's gonna stay, right? He's gonna stay. I would assume.
I would say Gorgie, like you said, Dunny. Definitely McDermott. He ain't getting no first round picks.
Zach Collins is still 24 years old.
Isn't that crazy?
I thought he was way older
the guy.
than that. Yeah, he's just been banged up his whole career. My only memories of Zach Collins is being in street clothes on the Portland sideline. I don't have memories.
Well, he's supposed to be back fully this year, so he's supposed to be back. Had that bad injury.
I guess I have glimpses of Gonzaga, but I literally just when I think Zach Collins, I just picture a button-up shirt and him just standing on the sidelines.
The reason I'm laughing so hard is because that's the exact same thing for me, dude.
I can't picture any Zach Collins.
I can't picture him on the court right now.
I just see him dripped out or
it's that in like 2K, I think.
What do you see when you think of Romeo Langford? That's what I want to finish the podcast.
I think of how zooted he was in that team picture when the Celtics went to the movies and they were all so high. Romeo's eyes were rolling back in his head, bro.
I was like, Jaylen Brown's gonna cost himself some money with this picture.
There's a select few like dunks that when I close my eyes. Romeo is a crazy athlete, dude. That's another guy who's only 22 years old.
Like, he'll get some run on this team.
Yeah, there will be some guys that could probably revive. The best thing about the situation, there'll be guys on this roster who will revive their career. I think.
Yes.
It could be some of these young guys we're talking about. It could be a Zach Collins. It could be. I mean, probably McDermott won't be reviving his career, but I wouldn't be surprised if McDermott has like a career year shooting or something.
Yeah, they're going to be bad, but they're still an NBA team. They're still going to put up 95, 100 points a night.
Yeah.
That's the best thing that's all we should.
They're still an NBA team.
Still an NBA team.
No, but that's the thing, right? They're gonna be bad, but this isn't a team that's a college basketball bad team that's losing 85 to 40. They're going to score points.
Gonzaga or the Spurs?
The Spurs. Stop it. I'm not having this professional college debate.
I don't like
professional that to make it into a professional league. You have to dominate at every league going up to that. There are guys that dominated in college basketball that didn't sniff the NBA. Didn't sniff the NBA. Spurs. Stop it. I'm getting triggered. I'm getting triggered.
What about the 2015 Kentucky team? 39-1.
You guys want a piece of boring news to end the show?
Please.
Marcin Gortat has rejoined the Washington Wizards as a temporary assistant coach.
That's awesome.
Under.
Temporary.
Still
He doesn't
the
even get. They can't even give him a full-time job.
I don't even know what
He's
that
a
means.
seasonal worker. What the hell is this, bro?
He's got an internship.
God damn, yeah.
Guy played center for them for
Come
like
back.
8 years,
Listen.
dude, and they can't even give him a
Listen,
fucking
bro.
full-time job.
Unpaid internship for Marcin
Yeah.
Gortat.
You got a 3-month probationary period, and then we'll talk. Marcin. We'll see.
Yep. All right, that'll
that's
do
good.
it.
That's good. Yeah, follow us
Yeah.
wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, you know.
Next week. We got to put it all on the line, boys. All the takes get sent out next. Empty the take cannon.
Oh, I can't wait. You know,
I'm gonna try to go
It's gonna be
back-to-back
wild. I've
years
got so
calling
many.
the Rookie of the Year. I'm gonna try to go back-to-back.
You guys are gonna love when I pick a Brooklyn Lakers final. It's gonna be.
Oh,
it's gonna be amazing.
I can't even look at Jake anymore.
Amazing.
The last 2 minutes,
All I
he
see is
said.
the chalkboard right now.
It's gonna. I'm telling you. Listen, I'm gonna look up the odds after this too.
Well, none of us have gotten the finals matchup correct. So
No, we didn't get it last year.
I had
Who'd you pick in the
Warriors.
West
I didn't
last
have
year?
Celtics, though.
we both picked Warriors. I don't think
We
either
both
of
picked
us-
Warriors.
Maybe
Bucks.
I honestly may have called it
I
like
might have had it because I thought we both had
Because
Warriors, right?
yeah. I think we all three had Warriors, and I always just bullshit and throw the Celtics in even when I don't think
remember.
they're going to be in. So
You might have
I
picked.
don't
the
want to
Nets.
talk about who I had against the Warriors.
You had the Nets,
Yeah.
didn't you? I had the Bucks.
You had the Bucks. You had the Bucks and
I
the
know-
Lakers.
I think the Bucks are going
I
to
had
be
the
my
Nets
East
and the
team.
Warriors, and Dunny probably had the Celtics against the Celtics. I don't remember though.
I haven't decided on mine yet. Celtics would have been a great finals.
Yeah, they would have won one at least.
that's all the teasers we have for next week.
Just
I'm
I'll
taking
put
the
the Celtics
Spurs.
in the finals.
I'm picking the Spurs.
Yeah, I've Spurs
Pop's telling me
Pistons.
Pop is just doing reverse
mind
psychology.
games. He's
saying,
playing
"Don't bet
mind
on-
games with
I'm
this
saying,
roster.
Bet, Pop.
This is not the roster to play mind games with. I'll tell you that.
Just wait till you see what Jakob Pertl has
Oh
in his
my.
bag. He ain't ready. I'm seriously gonna bet them every game. That's what you should take from this podcast.
Yeah. Spurs spread every game.
We're gonna have these picks graphics, and it's just gonna be the Spurs every night.
You're not even playing
plus 19 and a half.
Spurs.
Yeah. No, if they're not playing, it'll just be Spurs championship odds.
Oh my god.
All right, let's get out of here.
Yeah, we're done. We're off the rails. See you, everybody.
Later, guys.